Hello, listeners. I'm Timstradamus, and it's Wednesday. And as always, joining me today is my talented and beautiful hostess, Voyse.
Good morning, Timstradamus, and welcome to all listeners to Wednesday, where if you think about it, it's like the middle finger of the week.
Voyse and I enjoy reading and talking about stories from the internet that are interesting, funny, and dramatic. Because of our love of stories, we've come together and created this channel to share with you those experiences.
And hopefully give you some food for that.
Let's get right into the stories while I enjoy my morning cup of tea.
What are you going to enjoy this morning?
Green tea with mint.
Oh, that sounds great. It's perfect for indigestion. But I'm sorry, these stories are going to give you some bad indigestion.
You've already started with a middle finger.
And I keep going. At least you have something that's going to help you with the symptoms.
Yep.
For any listeners wanting to follow along, all story links are in the description below. For our first story, am I the a-hole for telling my daughter that I'll be missing her graduation to attend my son's? I, 43 female, have 2 children. My daughter, May, is 21, and my son Luke is 17. May's father and I split shortly after she was born, and I met my now husband when she was about a year old. Due to work and life circumstances, May primarily stayed with her father, but visited us on the weekends when she was younger. She's an incredibly bright girl. She has an AA, she's about to graduate with her BA, and she's been accepted into a master's program that starts in the fall. I'm so proud of her. I can't say that enough. My son Luke is graduating from high school this year, and I found out that his graduation is a few days after my daughter's. We don't live very close by anymore, so it would be back and forth flights, which just doesn't feel practical. Since May is getting another degree, I've told her that I'll attend her next graduation, but this time I'm just going to attend her brother's, since graduating high school is such a big step. May seemed a little upset at first, but she told me it was fine and that she understood. My ex called me later and told me that I wasn't considering May's feelings in the slightest. Her high school graduation in 2020 was canceled due to the lockdown. Then her ceremony for her AA was virtual for the same reason. So now that she's finally having one, my not going was really hurting her. I told my ex that I'd go to her next one and that it's not fair that I just not show up for her brother. He says that it's more than possible for me to come see her graduate and then fly back in time to see my son do the same. My thing is that yes, it's possible, but it isn't practical. May told me herself that she is a little upset about it, which is why she vented to her dad, but she apologized for making it an issue. I don't know how to feel about this now. Am I being the a-hole here?
All right, so we'll start today off with this. I initially, upon hearing the story, thought that I could side with OP because she is correct. This would be one of 3 previous graduations that she would have already attended at this point. High school, and I think she got her AA, and then she's moving on to her master's now. But this is for her BA, right?
Correct.
Cool, man. She's on her way. Great job. So I thought maybe that she had already attended all of these things. Unfortunately, we live in reality. And yes, COVID did happen. She missed high school graduation. She missed AA graduation because of, obviously, COVID and all the restrictions that were going on during it. So she really hasn't had a true graduation in a sense of parents are there, walk across the parade deck, all the fun stuff that comes across when you do get to graduate and celebrate. It's a milestone. It's amazing. So we have that playing in the background of this. So it's not as clear cut as going, well, she saw 2-year graduation. She's trying to see your brother's, which is he's 17, so he's about to graduate from high school. And again, another great milestone, an achievement. It's just the start of your really next step in life. So I can understand the importance of that. And I can understand her even saying the practicality of everything. Now, what does practicality mean for her? Are we talking about financially? Because if it's a financial thing, then obviously you can't really argue that too much, especially if it's, I don't know where her daughter's going to school and graduating and her son, it sounds like it's in a different state. So she's going to have to travel back and forth, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And it does sound like funds will be tight, but not impossible.
Okay.
So if you'd like just a little clarification, our poster actually said that they do want to go, but due to timing, the money, and the fact that her son doesn't plan on attending college, it may be the only ceremony that she'll ever attend for her son. And since her daughter's getting another degree in a few years, she'll just attend that one.
Nothing is ever guaranteed. You should never live life like that. Don't ever expect that tomorrow is something promised. So we'll start that one off with that. There's one thing I've learned about life, especially after I met Voyse. If there is a will, everything can be accomplished.
That's right.
So I don't know if her excuse holds up for in my mind for us. Yeah, unfortunately, OP, I do think that you are the a-hole especially if your daughter hasn't had a true graduation in the sense of, again, what we're talking about in person. You get to be there. Everyone's celebrating that achievement in her life, regardless of if you think that there's going to be another one in the future. That doesn't matter. We're talking about today. Today she's having a graduation. That is a couple days ahead of your son's. So you know what you do? You make time for your daughter's graduation and you hustle your butt back and go to your son's. Even if you do believe that's the only one he's got, that's not really a good excuse to not see your daughters as well. I definitely think you're the a-hole.
Well, the consensus on Reddit is that, yeah, she's the a-hole.
Okay.
In fact, let me go ahead and read this comment and then we'll just take it from there, shall we?
Shan't we?
OP, I hope you see this. And if you use the name May as a substitute for your daughter's real name, because that's the month she was born in, and the degree she's getting is a BA in art history, I think you should call her. I don't even know if my mom has read it, but this is exactly our current situation. Even if this is just a weird coincidence and not about me, your daughter is going through what I'm going through right now. Please call her and tell her you love her and that you're sorry at least. I know it's what I wish I could hear from my mom right now.
Are we saying that OP's daughter found this and responded to her?
Correct.
What?
And our OP responded and said, I am so proud of you and I love you more than you could ever know. And our poster actually updated and provided us, my daughter found this post, which wasn't my intention, but I did reach out to her to apologize for not being considerate of how this was going to make her feel. I'm going to fly out earlier to spend more time with her and to attend her graduation ceremony.
Wow, this is a Hollywood movie.
It looks like we started with indigestion, but that mint tea really helped.
That's a fantastic update. Wow.
Well, I know this is rare, but let's go ahead and leave this graduation and let's see what's going on with this coworker. For our next story, am I the a-hole for telling my coworker that my solo picnic is as important as her daughter's recital?
Get me off the ride.
No, you're staying strapped in. I, 29 female, started working at a new company 8 months ago. I was headhunted specifically for the role I have, which gave me enough power to negotiate my contract like I wanted. One of the things I managed to get was a clause that prohibited my employer from contacting me outside work hours. If it is a true emergency, then they can send me an email. Otherwise, they can't even send me a text. Furthermore, I have a separate work phone that I shut down at 5 on the dot, then turn on at 9 a.m. Another thing is that I don't work overtime. I am very efficient, so my work is done by 3 p.m., 5 p.m. if we have an emergency. I also take my whole lunch break outside the office and my coffee breaks away from my desk. My coworkers are not the same. They tend to socialize during work hour and have work left for afterwards. They sometimes ask me to help, but I always decline, saying that I have plans. I don't go into details. I just say that I have plans. These plans are 99% of the time just include going home, reading books, or sleeping, and that is my personal time. Monday, a coworker asked me if I could stay a bit later to help her out. Apparently, she was late with some essential work, but had to be done by that night because she had to attend her daughter's recital at 6. I said that I was sorry, but that I had plans. It was a nice day, so instead of going home, I just went to a park to read while breathing some fresh air, brought some fruit and bubble tea, and made a picnic out of it. My coworker found me there, and she was pissed. She said that I could have helped her if I didn't have plans. I said that I do have plans, this impromptu picnic. She said that it wasn't as important as her daughter's recital. So I said that for me, it was even more important than her daughter's recital. She called me an a-hole, and some of my friends agree. So am I the a-hole?
What is this story?
This story is an important work story.
So, our OP sounds like she's got her head on her shoulders. She is very precise. She does not allocate time that doesn't belong to anyone else past the time they're given. She's negotiated her contract. She turns off. It sounds like she has a very good work-life balance. Fantastic. I think that's what most people need to start leaning on. She gets her stuff done well before quit time. That's fantastic. 3 p.m., she's already ready to roll out. Those are great habits. She's already pointed out, though, that she knows that everyone else that she works around cuts up. Don't get me wrong, there's a difference. I understand she sounds more very robotic, right? This is my task. This is what I need to get done. But not everyone is like that. A lot of people do need to socialize while they work, or they go crazy, or they're not as efficient. Because I've also seen where people can be very socialite buggies and talk all the time and still get just as much work done. But she's looking at it through a different lens. They're cutting up. They're not doing the job they're supposed to be doing, which is why they don't finish when they're supposed to. So she's very observant of other people as well. I can understand that train of thought. So what we're asking here is not so much if she's the a-hole, because in my mind, I'm going to have to say she's not. But what we are looking at here is morality, right?
I guess, yes.
And that's where I think might come into play with people's decision making on this type of story. Is morally, I think most people would look at that and go, you said it's for your daughter's recital, I'll help you out, because all of us want to at least try to care about other people, right? Even if it's not your problem, we do try. It's in all of us. To the degrees, they vary.
Correct.
I don't believe that our OP is the a-hole. I will ask though, how does said coworker find her at park when she's supposed to be at recital for daughter?
Well, let me just go ahead and give you Reddit's consensus.
Did I? Wait, no. Did I catch this?
So, for Reddit's consensus, it says that she's not the a-hole. Could she have helped? Of course, yes.
Sure.
However, let me go on to the next juicy bit. Our poster added an edit, and they said, so I log off for a few hours, log back in expecting maybe 100 comments. I am blown, and thank you everyone for their judgment. Not the a-hole, you the a-hole, and everyone sucks here. Now for some important things. How did she find me in the park? The park is small, near her daughter's school. I didn't know that. And I was sitting closer to the street. She was driving by looking for parking when she spotted me and decided to confront me. I guess she wasn't that late for the recital. We are not on the same team. She asked for help because she knew I know how to do her tasks, not because we are on the same team working the same project. For people who are worried about my career, thank you, but don't worry. I am not planning to climb the corporate ladder. All I want is a job that pays enough to live a comfortable middle-class life. I invested in a bit of a niche/rare skill set, and it paid me back with a 6-figure salary and being very sought after. All I have to do is maintain my skill set and keep up with the times, and I will be golden. I have had offers from all around my state and a few more. For those who say that I am a miserable loner, I have a very fulfilling personal life with a tight-knit family and a great friend circle. I just prefer to not mix work and personal life, and that means no befriending coworkers. Made that mistake early on, but I learned from it. And lastly, for those saying an impromptu picnic is not plans, enjoying my personal time is and has always been my plans. From what our poster put in, early on, she actually burned herself out career-wise. And when she was continuing on, she decided she would never have to deal with that again, which is why her work ethic is so rigid. And from how she explains it, depending on who the person is and the reason as to why they're asking her for help depends on how she'll deal with that situation. Sure. So if that person decided that they wanted to goof off during work time and leave things for the last minute, she'll go ahead and provide her insight on how maybe she can get it done faster, but she's definitely not going to stay extra to go ahead and make up for somebody else's problems that they put themselves into. If it's, let's say, a coworker that's encountered a problem that they've never dealt with before and it's really out of the blue, then she might stay and help. But everything is very situational.
Sure.
And from how she makes it out to be, this could have been something that was easily avoided by her coworker had they just decided to be a little bit more efficient.
Well, even when they weren't efficient, they still got to the daughter's recital, right? So everything worked the way it was supposed to. She was just trying to get herself more time with someone who clearly knows what they're doing. I don't like that people were attacking her and calling her a loner just because she's good at what she does and she's efficient. That's a good story. I think that's funny at the end where it comes full circle on her and she sees that the person still showed up at the recital and everything's just the way it is.
Well, let's go ahead and walk away from this work situation. And let's go into our next one, which might be morally questionable.
Uh-oh. I don't like the way you said that.
For our next story. Am I the a-hole for keeping my brother's life insurance? I, 40 male, lost my brother, 42 male, Jay, in a car accident a few months ago. Growing up, he was the golden child. He got a full ride to a prestigious college while I had to pay my own way and eventually drop out. He went on to grad school, but I got married and settled down with my wife, 42 female, Brittany, early on. We have had financial struggles, which caused us to not be able to start a family. We live paycheck to paycheck in a one-bedroom apartment. Jay always made good money, but wasn't lucky in love. He was very picky, and while he had some longer 1 to 2 year relationships, he was looking for perfection before getting married. He finally married his wife, 40 female, Mary, in 2019. She also made good money like Jay. She also had 2 children from a previous relationship, now 18 and 19. One is in college and the other will be starting next year. She and Jay also had twin girls about a year ago. Mary and Jay both worked and have a nanny they share with a neighbor for their girls. When they got pregnant, she sold her house where they were living and he sold his condo that he had been renting out, and they bought a larger family home together. All this to say, money is not a problem for them. Like I said, Jay passed away recently in a car accident, and Mary found out that I was the beneficiary of his 401k and life insurance policy through his employer. The life insurance is $150k, but the 401k is much more substantial. He set it up that way years ago before Mary was in the picture and never changed it. Mary begged me to give her a portion of the money, but I said no. She inherited his part of their house and their joint savings account, which is about $50k. She said that she paid for his funeral, and to make it work on her income alone, she will have to sell the house, give up the nanny, put the girls in daycare, and won't be able to help her older kids with college the way they planned. I told her it's not my fault. If he wanted to change the beneficiary, he should have done that, but he didn't, so now the money is mine. My wife and I plan to use the money to buy a home and finally start a family. She says her husband's money should go to his children, but she doesn't see that me using the money to have my own children is more important. Our parents think I'm an a-hole because the money should go to his kids. I offered to take $50k and put it in a trust for the girls' education, but they said Mary needs the money now. They said the life insurance would pay off their mortgage and the boys' college and put money away for the girls' future, and her income would cover the rest so they wouldn't have to move. But what about my family? Am I the a-hole?
You are a goober of the highest order. That's terrible. You start this off by calling your unfortunately passed away brother the golden child. So I already know where you're coming at from this stance. It sounds like you made a lot of poor life choices in your life that led to the decisions that led to what you're living in now in your 40s. I understand that will and that 401k were put in at a time when your brother didn't have a wife, didn't have kids. This is probably something that he unfortunately didn't get the time to change. But I'm pretty sure if he was around, he would have already changed it to make sure that his twins and his wife were taken care of. I don't think that it's proper. Again, we're going by letter of the law. Unfortunately, it's in his brother's name, OP in this situation. It goes to him. But morally, this is a bad one. Like I said, you're a goober. You're a cave troll for having that opinion about, what about me? Your brother died. It sucks because it sounds like he was waiting for the right one. He's 43, 42?
42.
Waited a little bit longer in life to find the one, but it sounds like it worked out. He found someone. They were able to conceive. They had twins. Everything was going right. They both sold their homes to combine to bring one home and all the kids under one roof. And it sounded like an amazing situation. Unfortunately, it got cut short. That sucks.
I hate how he says that they sold the homes, all to say that money is not a problem for them. But people don't sell homes as a way of saying that money isn't a problem.
Sure. His attitude towards his brother sucks. Like I said, no one told OP to drop out of college. That's what he said, right? He drops out of college. So he chose what to do with his life. No one made him do that. No one made him look at his brother as the golden child. He did.
Now, I don't like how he says he got a full ride to a prestigious college because it makes it sound like his parents paid for his brother to go through. However, in my mind, if his brother was extremely smart, he would have gotten a lot of scholarships, and that could have been a full ride, which means his brother did it all through his own gumption and not through the charity of their parents.
Hard work.
And it's hard because, like I said, the verbiage is very clear. A full ride to a prestigious college well, he had to pay his own way. Did you just not try to go for scholarships? There's things out there to actually assist, because clearly his brother was extremely smart and gifted when it comes to being able to get the scholarships and go to a really good college.
Well, that's where it kind of sounds like he feels, in my opinion, he feels owed this money. And he says it's quite a substantial amount, which I'm assuming when we're saying substantial is probably in the hundreds of thousands.
Oh, yes.
We're not talking, because if he's going, well, I'll put 50,000 away. Can you imagine exactly how much is there? Enough to pay off the kids' college, pay off the home that they had just bought, and then put enough away for their twins' education. Like, you're a foul human, and I doubt it goes to anything that you're telling me, OP. I doubt it goes to you starting your family. I think you made your decisions a long time ago about that. I don't think it's going to do anything in your hands. I'm pretty sure you're going to piss it away like you have most of your life. I'm shocked at this story. I'm shocked that he would come out to the internet and tell us about how foul he is, expecting to hear anything other than that. And I would be shocked if you sit here and tell me that a lot of people try to defend his point of view. So yeah, you're definitely the a-hole in this situation. You're already in your 40s, I believe. So there's not much that anyone can honestly probably tell you that you'll take seriously that doesn't agree with you. Take the money and run. But you are a clown. Yeah. Shame on you. Good job. I guess you won something. Yeah, that's just how I feel.
Well, everything that you've just said is essentially what a lot of Redditors said, which is, of course, he's a resounding a-hole. And a lot of people are sickened and disgusted and can't understand. Some people even said they've stopped talking to their siblings for one reason or another. They can't imagine taking money away from their family, regardless of whatever issues that they've had, because it's such a morally awful thing to do, to one up, especially when I know one of the commenters said that he describes his brother as being unlucky in love prior to meeting Mary, as if he had a one-up on his brother and striking his wife, which is, it's such a petty thing to do. I understand that there's jealousy, and sure, not everybody is, and I hate to say it like this, not everybody is lucky enough to be cut from the same cloth.
Sure.
Some people might be more athletically inclined. Some people are more academically inclined. It's just how you decide to want to use the gifts that you're provided.
Sure. And I believe everyone has gifts. We're all diversified, and that's the best part about human existence, right? We're all different. Even if we are the same brood, like him and his brother, they're completely different human beings, but they have diversity even between themselves to do great things given the tools that they're given. But it sounds like he's a troll.
All he does is turn around and say, why is my grass not as green as yours?
Yeah.
And that's an awful way to view life.
That's why I believe none of that money that he says he's getting is going to anything that he's saying it's going towards.
Well, that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and go to this next story, shall we? And see if maybe we can lighten up the mood.
Yes, please.
Or not.
No.
For our next story, am I the a-hole for telling my sister our grandma hated her own name when my sister wanted to name her daughter after grandma? My sister is expecting a baby girl and told me and a few other family members that she wanted to honor grandma by naming her Josephine after her. My mom was over the moon happy about it. My brothers and I looked at each other when she said it, but said nothing right away. My sister said I was quiet about it and she didn't think the boys, aka our brothers, would get it, but she thought her only sister would. I told her I did get it, but she should probably know that grandma hated her name Josephine and she wanted people to call her Rosie. My sister was shocked and asked why she never knew, and I told her it was because grandma was sick by the time she was old enough to really remember her. My sister said everyone else called her Josephine. I told her most people did it and she hated it. Grandma was Josephine Rose. Grandma hated her first name and the nicknames people called her. Jojo, Joe, Josie. She went by Rosie with friends and my grandpa called her Rosie. But my parents and her only sister told her she was silly for hating her name and called her Josephine her whole life. My mom and her siblings ended up ignoring what grandma and grandpa told them about grandma hating her name and would always say they were Josephine's kids and not Rosie's. Grandma was really bothered by it, so my brothers and I would call her Granny Rosie when we were around her, so someone in her life would call her what she preferred. She was so happy, and when she died, my mom and her siblings insisted she would be called Josephine in the obituary and never mentioned Rosie in it at all. My sister was too young to really remember the whole discussion, and she wasn't even born when we started calling Grandma Granny Rosie. After I told my sister she wanted to thank some, she asked our brothers and I a few days later if Grandma would have liked the honor name thing. My oldest brother said she wouldn't have seen her using the name Josephine as an honor for her, and likely would have said she just liked the name. She was like, okay, went to speak to our parents. All hell broke loose, and my parents were asking how we could lie and disrespect Grandma like that. My sister then said we just didn't like the name, and it was terrible for me to lie about her disliking Josephine and going by Rosie when she could never name her daughter Rosie. My brother kept letters our grandparents wrote to each other. Each and every letter, Grandma was Rosie. She also wrote Rosie on IDs she had when she volunteered. My sister conceded that it was true, but said I still shouldn't have told her and only did it to discourage her from using the name. Am I the a-hole?
What? Absolutely not, OP. Are you the a-hole? What is up with these families and these stories? No, in fact, good on you for telling your sister the truth. I'm so sorry for your Grandma Rosie, for having to have dealt with everyone going, no, we're not calling you that. Was it Josephine? Josephine? Like, what? Especially when someone tells you they don't like the name, why would you then go and call her that for the rest of eternity? And they even had it in the obituary that she's Josephine. Like, you couldn't have even done her the favor at the end and just called her Rosie? Like, that's ridiculous to me. At least, and thank goodness for her, it sounds like she had a loving husband that called her Rosie. At least she got to, by the most important person in her life, be called what she wanted to be, and recognized for who she was. Names are very important. You're in no reality are you the a-hole for being honest with your sister. And if she doesn't like the name Rosie to be used for her daughter, then she can pick another one. But at least you gave her the truth.
Well, the consensus is also she's not the a-hole. In fact, a lot of commenters wondered what was the reason why our poster went ahead and told her sister. And our poster said the only reason why she told her was because technically it wouldn't be an honor, as her grandma told her brothers and her that naming any of their future kids Josephine to honor her wasn't an honor because she didn't see herself being Josephine.
Oh, wow. She actually told her grandkids that.
She actually told them. And
what
it seems
foresight.
like a lot of the family likes the name Josephine. And because she was, I guess you can say, blessed with the name, not a blessing to Grandma
Rosie.
But they see that she's blessed with this name. They think that it's silly that she doesn't like it. And I don't know if they just tried to convince her into...
But that's not up to them
and that's where things
she's
get
silly. It's
really weird, to go ahead and tell your kids that they're lying on something that all of them recall, and it's in letters and IDs.
It just sucks that the only people that she could be honest and forefront with about the name is the kids. Because it sounds like all the adults in Rosie's life looked the other way every time she wanted to say anything outside of her husband. And thank goodness for her husband, is that at least he gave her the dignity that she deserved to be called Rosie instead of something that everyone else said, we love that name. Well, I don't care what other people think about your name. It shouldn't matter what it means to her.
So here's a more messed up part, in my opinion. In the obituary, they wondered why the grandfather didn't change it to Rosie. And apparently it was a whole back and forth argument with the family on making sure that the obituary actually said Josephine.
Wow.
And the amount of money that it would have taken to try and stop the family from doing that would have been too much.
So it wasn't even in the husband's power to do this?
Nope.
That's ridiculous. That family should be ashamed of themselves, not giving her at least on the way out the dignity of being called what she wanted to be.
Now, our poster did say she doesn't mind that her sister's daughter is called Josephine, if that's her preference, but she can't say that it's to honor her grandmother when it's truly not.
That was her grandmother's wish, to tell them not to do that. It's not an honor. Good Lord. It's like every other opinion mattered, but the person who was named Josephine. What are you doing? Well, you were Rosie to us.
Granny Rosie.
Granny Rosie.
Well, let me go ahead and Go on to our next story and we'll see how this one goes. For our next story, am I the a-hole for telling my sister I wanted nothing to do with her wedding or children because I want my own life? Technically, it's my stepsister, 30 female. I'm 21. Even with the age gap, my sister was super competitive with me growing up. It was her one-upping me every time over everything or making snide comments. Excellent Horror, which is her tag name, got highlights in her hair. Well, my hair gets me tons of compliments, so I don't have to be so vain. Stuff like that. Finally, at 28, life kind of kicked her in the ass. I felt bad for her, so we grew closer as I tried to help her with things. She stopped with the competing. It was nice. I actually enjoyed being with her. Usually, I felt god-awful when around her, but not during that period. Then she met a guy, got engaged 4 months in, and is back to talking about how much ahead of me she is. Everything is revolving around her. I started a workout routine, and her first response to that was, "Oh, someone's trying to look great in her bridesmaid dress for my wedding." We were also shopping and walked past the baby clothes section where I saw some cute dresses. Her response was, "You just can't wait to be an aunt." I discussed how I hoped I find a similar dress when I finally have kids years from now. She sighed and said, "I mean, if it doesn't happen, you'll just be a part of me and my fiance's family, and I don't know, a nanny aunt for our kids." One of my biggest fears is not marrying and having kids because of a physical disability I have. She knows this and has made comments like this before, despite how it hurts. We parted ways. Later that night, I sent her a long text saying how I don't want to be in her wedding, I want nothing to do with her future children, and I'm ready to live my own life, not be a pawn in hers. She forwarded the message to my family, who thinks I'm being overdramatic and cannot just be happy for her. To them, her comments are not crossing any lines. This is her way of expressing she's happy I'm in her life, and I need to learn her communication style. Am I the a-hole?
Hell no. You are not the a-hole. The reason why your family is accepting of that behavior is because they probably talk to each other like that. People misunderstand competitiveness and being a fucking asshole. Your sister is an asshole. That's just the way it is. Man, that sucks that she's taken a disability. You don't disclose it to us, nor should you. That's your business. But you tell us she's very aware of your disability. That makes it hard for you to conceive. That sucks. And that she's used it on you many times in the past. I can only imagine you are 21, OP? I can only imagine at 21 how much emotional abuse you've gone through with your sister, who is 10 years older than you and has been competing with you. What? There's no competing. I understand what sibling rivalries are. I'm the oldest of 6, but at a certain age, you're no longer, you shouldn't be doing that with your siblings. There's no longer older, younger, there's just siblings. The rat race is done, but as you get older and you understand life isn't about one-upping everyone, it's about love and accepting and being a part of and not demeaning and destroying each other when you're around each other. I'm shocked that at 28, your sister hasn't already pulled her head out of her butt about all that. It sounds like she's going to lose a good sister in you. I think you're doing the right thing. I don't believe you should have to deal with that type of abuse, or what's going to come next is, you're right, you might be dubbed with the aunt caretaker for the rest of your life situation, and you definitely don't want to be there. So I would rather you have pulled the band-aid off now and let everyone understand that you're not going to be accepting that type of behavior going forward. And if she can't deal with that, then she doesn't have you in her life. Like, that's an easy one for me. That's a foul relationship.
Well, let me go ahead and give you Reddit's consensus, and they say that she's definitely not the a-hole. That's resounding in a lot of the comments. And in fact, she actually lets us know that she plans on moving away soon.
Good.
We're not sure when, but that's all up to our poster. Now, we did have a commenter who asked for a little bit more information, said, "Hey, have you ever discussed how your stepsister treats you with your parent?" And we have a reply from our poster regarding that. And she says, "We have. She's from my stepmom, who kind of calls the shots in the family. So usually my dad just follows her lead. She was more the favorite growing up until she was 28, mooching off them, and they didn't want to deal with her anymore. Now she's getting married and likely will give the first grandchild. She's back on top, so my voice doesn't really get heard." And that is unfortunate to actually hear.
Yikes. Well, like I said, OP, walk away from the situation. I'm a firm believer in this. Family isn't the people that you get born into. Family is the people you choose to be around.
I can definitely agree with that. Now let's go to our very last story of the day, and it's another family doozy. For our last story, am I the a-hole for telling my cousin that she ruined a family heirloom? I, female 26, have two cousins, female 33 and female 28. My oldest cousin, Jane, is married. My other cousin, Amy, just got married. I am single. Right before she got engaged last summer, our grandma gave Amy's fiance, John, a diamond ring to propose with. This ring is a gorgeous white gold and diamond ring that our grandpa gave her. He died when our dads were teens. My grandma has since remarried and always said that she'd pass on the ring. I won't lie, I've always loved that ring and hoped it would be me, but I'm also the youngest cousin, so I tried to temper my expectations. Mostly, I was happy for Amy and glad the ring was staying in the family, and Jane agreed. Fast forward to this weekend, which was Amy's wedding. Neither Jane nor I were in the wedding, but we both went to the hotel room where Amy was getting ready. She asked if we wanted to see the rings. We were both confused, but sure. And what she showed us was a gargantuan, tacky engagement ring and wedding band set. I sputtered something like, "But I thought you were getting married with Grandma's ring." Amy just smiled and said, "Yeah, it is Grandma's ring." She explained that for her wedding gift, she asked John to upgrade the ring into this monstrosity since he didn't have to pay for an engagement ring in the first place. One of the diamonds was Grandma's, and then the white gold melted down to make one of her wedding bands, but the rest was all new stuff. I burst into tears. I was so shocked and hurt. I told her she destroyed our grandparents' heirloom. If she wanted a giant diamond to wear every day, that's her choice, but the ring was important to our family. Amy got huffy and said she had to finish getting ready, so Jane and I left. Jane was also upset, but had the attitude of, "It's Amy's ring, nothing we can do now." I told her I didn't think Grandma would have given it to John and Amy if she knew she was going to take it apart. I found Grandma and asked her if she knew what Amy had done. Amy's mom had told her that Amy had to have it resized and have the setting fixed, but Grandma had no idea that it was made into an entirely new ring. She didn't say anything, but I could tell she was upset. The wedding went on, but everyone could tell that there was some awkwardness between me and Amy and Jane, and Grandma is refusing to talk about the matter. Amy is saying I owe her an apology, but I don't think I'm in the wrong for saying she destroyed a family heirloom. Plus, the fact that she didn't tell anyone what she was doing and misled Grandma says to me that she knew she was wrong, or at least it wouldn't have been condoned. I feel like she saw it not as an heirloom, but a way to subsidize what she really wanted. I know the mature thing to do is just to get over it and accept that it was given to Amy and she made her choice, but I'm finding it really hard to get over what she did. Am I the a-hole for feeling the way I do?
Boy, my Lanta. This one's different. So she does outline all of her argument very well, right? She's very cognitive of what it looks like on both sides, which is great that you already have that perspective, because she is right. There is absolutely nothing you can do about that ring now. It's gone. It got melted down and put into her cousin's ring, which is sad, because she also says that there's no way her grandmother would have given her that ring had she understood the purposes or what it was going to be turned into. That sucks, because it does sound like an heirloom. You can't get that back now. It's gone. So what do you do going forward? She says it. You just move on, or it's going to impact you and your cousin's relationship, and it sounds like your grandmother's relationship with your cousin and everyone else's relationship that has a feeling towards that ring, because it does sound like they all held it in very high esteem. This was something that apparently OP even wanted herself one day, although she also understood she was cousin, so there was already a pecking order,
cousin,
and she understood that that was going to be a long shot. So she's very honest with us. I like that. Again, she outlines a lot of great points.
Just to provide some more information, apparently Jane, the oldest cousin, the one that was also upset but was more accepting, was actually offered the ring before this current cousin, and she declined it because she thought that her other cousins would appreciate it more. and
the
found
OP
out
would've.
later, hindsight 2020,
Ugh.
she should have just taken the ring instead.
Okay, so this is a thing that the whole family is upset about now that they found out what she did. I'm shocked that OP's cousin didn't talk to everyone first.
I feel like she knew that they would say no, which is why she tried to make it sound like she was just getting the ring resized only.
How big of a wiener jacket are you that even though you know everyone's gonna be displeased with this, that you go ahead and do it? How selfish of a human being are you?
Pretty selfish.
Like, that's terrible. And again, you got two choices. You either just move on because it's gone. Like, there's no coming back from it, or you cut her out. You're gonna look at her hand, and guess what you're gonna see every time? A melted down relic of what used to be something that all of you loved. Ooh. That one, yeah, that's spasm with bile for sure. You're definitely not the a-hole OP.
Let me just go ahead and let you know what Reddit's consensus is. They say that she's not the a-hole. She's entitled to all these feelings, and the way that her cousin went about it was extremely shady. Now, they did offer some advice. They said if you have pictures of that ring, maybe you could potentially recreate it. Yeah, the chances.
It's never
she
gonna
says
be the
she
same.
wishes that she would have taken pictures of it.
Oh, they
but
don't even have pictures.
no, they're hoping that maybe they can find one, maybe like an old picture. You know how couples share the hands with the wedding rings together.
Yeah.
Now, the other part that they feel like the cousin who destroyed the ring should have done was, if you wanted the diamond, you could have just had the diamond taken out and left the setting alone.
Sure.
So another diamond or another stone could have been put in its place and offered it to
The next cousin.
correct. But it really does sound like she was just trying to cash grab. She wanted a big diamond and she wanted it to look the way that she wanted it to look without having to spend the money for it.
That's terrible.
At least that's the feeling that I get.
Well, that's going to make any family gathering for that whole thing. Every single family gathering will be the most awkward event.
I don't know if grandma's going to leave her anything in the will after this. I think for me, it hits harder because their grandfather died when their dads were teens. So it's not like this was a divorce or anything that was potentially with a negative connotation. It was a loss, and she remarried, but she treasures that ring, which is why she kept it to pass it down.
That's bad news, man. You can't undo it. That sucks.
Well, did the mint tea help with the indigestion of these stories?
No.
Darn.
These are terrible stories today. Yeah, that's it, huh? Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
Well, as our stories come to a close, don't forget, you see in the world what you carry in your heart.
If you have enjoyed listening to us read and talk about today's stories, please rate, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We are regularly posting on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
As always, we look forward to hearing your opinions and viewpoints on the stories we provide. It genuinely does bring us a lot of laughs and...
a very different perspective on every situation.
yeah, definitely. And remember, if you post it, maybe we'll see it on the internet.